Hi, this is Charles from Woodfast Australia, coming to you from our Perth HQ. Today we're going to be talking about our Woodfast PT310A, and we've also got a PT410A. So that's a 12-inch and a 14-inch thicknesser planer combination machine. Sometimes in America they're known as a planer jointer machine. In Australia we call the top surface here a planer and the bottom a thicknesser. I believe in the States you call it a planer on a jointer on the top and a planer down below. In Australia, this is how we do it. This machine boasts a 3 horsepower motor, cast iron in-feed and out-feed tables. It's got a planing width of 310 millimeters. This machine is also fitted with the dual table lifting system. So when we change from one mode to another, from our planing to thicknessing, it lifts both tables at the same time. So it's much quicker, much more efficient, a lot easier when you're switching from one function to another. This machine is fitted with our spiral helical cutter block. That will give us our best performance. It's quiet when it's running. It gives you a very, very clean cut. Minimal sanding required after you finish this. For those knotty hardwoods and things like that, gives a fantastic finish. Just eats through it. They do have 4 sides to each tip, so if you do damage one, say you hit a nail or something, you can loosen it off and rotate it around, or when one edge gets blunt, you can rotate it around, so you get 4 separate cutting knives, and they're carbide tips, so they do last a very long time. In comparison to the old straight knives, the time that you get out of them is quite significantly longer before you need to sharpen these blades. When you want to change to your thicknessing mode, you just lower the table down and flick the hood over. It'll lock in here so it doesn't come up, and now you're ready to use your thicknessing mode on the bottom. So thicknessing capacity on this machine is 4 mil all the way down to 225 millimeters. So you got a great big height there, and obviously the 310 millimeters wide. So there's 2 ways you can read the scale on this. You've got a ruler on the left-hand side here, or you've got the digital display down here, which just makes it a little bit easier when you're seeing what your height is and you're positioning it. And this is adjusted in micromillimeters, so it's very easy to get nice accurate cuts. And then just lock that lock handle off when you go to use it. To turn your feed rollers on and off is you just push this roller down. That's currently in the on position. So the feed rollers will grab on the front and back of the machine, on the back of the cutter block, and feed your material through. And when you're using your planer mode, you just turn those off and leave them off. A little tip when you are thicknessing is to make sure that the bed of your table has some kind of lubricant on it. I'm not talking about oil lubricant, I'm talking about something like a paraffin wax or a candle wax. A common issue that people will have is when they use their thicknesser table, it doesn't pull the material through, and they think that maybe there's something wrong with the machine. Generally what it is, the table, there's a few things you need to do. The table needs to make sure that it's clean, free of any rust or any debris. So if there is a build-up of rust, you haven't used it for a few months and it's built up a little bit of surface rust, it is cast iron, so that will happen from the ambient humidity in the air. Give it a bit of a wipe down or a sand down with some Scotch-Brite, wipe all the table down, and then get yourself paraffin wax or a candle wax, and you just do a couple of squiggly lines on the table. And then every time you feed a piece through, every probably 2 or 3 passes, do a couple of squiggly lines at the front here. The candle wax will help the timber to glide through the machine, and it won't bind up or anything. It'll work a lot more efficiently. Don't use oil or silicone spray or anything like that, only for the fact that if you are going to be polishing your timber later on, you will impregnate the timber with oil, and then you'll have oil stains on your material. So best thing to do is candle wax, and it works perfectly for that application. Machine comes with a 100mm outlet for your dust extraction. With your hood, when you want to change it back to the planer mode, pull the pin out, it's spring loaded, flip the hood over. You do need to make sure that your thicknessing table is down, otherwise as you flip around it won't go all the way down. And then you can pull your table down. There's a safety device here which just stops that from falling. So you just pull it out, pull the table down, gently bring it down and lock it on the sides. So one lock there, in and down there, lock that off. And now we're ready to use it back in our planing mode. To adjust our height on how much material we're taking off, we move the planer up, the table up and down, and this will adjust how much material is taken off each pass. Got a nice solid fence on this machine, aluminium fence. Loosen off the two knobs and then we can slide that in or out. When you're using your planer, you want to spread the load of your material, so move it around. If you just keep it in the same place, you're going to wear those cutters down earlier. So you want to try and move it around so you evenly use your cutters and you don't wear one particular part of the blade down. You can also adjust the tilt on this. So you pull this lever down, that will loosen it off, and then we can tilt that over to 45 and then back over to 90. And we can lock that down. So if we want to do an angle of whatever, we can set that. And there is a dial gauge on the side here, which gives us an indication of where we are for our angles. Guard on the front can be adjusted quite easily. So we can loosen off this knob and slide that backwards or forwards to expose more or less of the blade. Again, safety first, so you want to keep it the least amount exposed as possible. You can also adjust this up and down. Some people like to set it so you feed the material and you just have the bit exposed that you're using. Others like to put it so you go over the top of the material, so you can lift that up and then feed your material underneath it. And then you can also undo this lever and pivot that completely out of your way if you need to, for whatever reason. Machine to turn it on is quite easy. So we've got a green on, red off, and then our emergency stop button here. Same as any emergency stop, you push it in, it will stop the machine, twist it to release it, and then that will allow the machine to start back up again. It is a no volt relay system. So that means that if the power is disconnected for whatever reason when you're using it, when the power comes back on, the machine will not start. It won't start until you've pushed that button there to restart it. So it's a safety feature, so it doesn't start when you're not aware. As you can see, we've fitted this machine with the optional mobility kit. So you've got this handle here with the rollers on it. It just goes in underneath on this side here. And then you just push down and then you can move that around your workshop for easy access. And that's quite easy to move around. And that's it. As I was saying before, this machine is available. This is a single phase machine with a 3 horsepower motor, but there is also the PT410, which is available in single phase and 3 phase. And that obviously gives you a 400 millimeter capacity. Same features, just larger capacity and larger width that you can run through the machine. That wraps up our introduction video on the key features of these PT310 and 410 planer thicknesser from our Woodfast. If you got any questions, write a comment below and send us an email and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you very much and we'll see you next time.